Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I found a very interesting article from Russia Today, and even though there's some interesting news in this article, I will focus on one particular sentence coming from Medvedev, Dmitry Medvedev, the former president of the Russian Federation, former vice president. So let me show you first the information coming as a general information of this article. Moscow should suspend diplomatic relations with the European Union, Medvedev said. Now, why is that? I don't know if you're familiar, guys, with what happened. The European Union said that they will restrict Russians bringing in the European Union their telephones and their cars. So you can travel as a Russian in the European Union now, but without your telephone, they will confiscate it. And you can't enter with a Russian car with license plates of Russia. And that is the free country, the free world, right? No. So it says the bloc's restrictions on Russians bringing in personal items is a quote-unquote spit in the face, end quote, the ex-president has said. EU rules banning Russian nationals from bringing personal cars and smartphones into the bloc are downright insulting and degrading, don't you think? Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has insisted. He urged Moscow to suspend diplomatic relations with the bloc. That's not all of it. In a statement, I'm going to keep it like this because that's where my important stuff, the most important stuff. In a statement on Telegram on Monday, Medvedev, who is the deputy chair of the Russian Security Council, mockingly praised what he described as straightforward and honest Brussels bosses. Directly and without beating around the bush, they told all Russians, and I'm quoting, "We see you as second-rate people," end quote. Now, he went on to suggest that the sweeping restrictions were not punishment for the government in Moscow, but rather, and I'm quoting, a real spit in the face of every single Russian citizen. As for possible retaliation, Medvedev ruled out a symmetrical response. So he didn't want to match these guys. As I say, if someone punches me in the face one time, I punch him back. I knock him out. If I can. 3 times, 5 times. If someone spits on me, I will grab him by the ball and squeeze hard. So from nothing, if he gets to this level, I'm not going to match because I didn't do anything. If he gets it here, I'm going to get it there. Right? Because from there to here is what he did from here to here. Why should I? That means he's in control. He doesn't dictate the, how should I put it, the intensity of our conflict. He doesn't dictate it. I dictate it. Think like that, my friends. Now, he says, he rules out a symmetrical response, that means equaling. No, he says, unlike many national leaders whose relatives worked in the SS, Nazi SS, we are not racist, he said. End quote. He said, adding that the foreigners, my God, who visit Russia tend to love the country. So he said, unlike many leaders whose relatives work in the SS, we are not racist, end quote. Whatever. Now I'm going to read you what he says in the next part, and this is very, very important. So I'm going to quote Medvedev. I'm going to make it bigger here, if I can, right there. He says, it would be better to just temporarily suspend diplomatic relations with the EU and bring diplomatic personnel back to our country, end quote, the ex-president suggested, arguing that such a move would make European leaders, quote-unquote, feel their pants. They mean pee and poop their pants. Because, and I'm quoting, this is important, embassies are evacuated before very specific events, end quote, and they would not know what to expect from Russia. What do you think those specific, very specific events he refers to? Obviously, bombardment, attacking, destroying the country. So you take your people out so you can clear that area. So he's saying, you know what? we're not going to do that. We're going to do something else. And I don't want to say veiled threat that he's going to do something. So he said, well, we're going to take him out. That means the next step is what? Let them guess. Psychologically, the most, I would say, threatening instance is when you don't know what to expect. If you see the danger, you can somehow prepare, you can evaluate, you look again, and every time you look, it goes to a pinnacle, a maximum, and from there it just goes down. You get used to that danger because you say, well, it's not that important, it's not that strong, it's not that. But if you don't know what to expect, then you imagine, your imagination starts working, and that's not good. If you remember Plato in his Republic, he talked about the military. He wanted to make the perfect or the city-state, and he divided it in three. All right, three leaders: the philosopher king, the army, and whatever commoners, whatever they would be, the producers, something like that. So he said that the army, the guys, the guardians, he called them, the guardians. The guardians should not be thought. He promoted, you would call censorship, which he did. And yeah, good for him in this case. He said the army, the protectors, the guardians should not be told and exposed to stories being frightened and stories where you have imaginary creatures being somewhere, because you work with their imagination. And he said when you send these guys to war, they don't have to be afraid of anything. They don't have to be, courageous. Don't be afraid of anything. But if they start imagining in the middle of the night, you send someone in the forest and he hears a click, 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 he starts imagining, and he's going to make reference to whatever books he read, movies he watched in today's and so on, stories he was told, and he imagines, he tries to make sense of what he's hearing. So actually, those guys, the unknown, plays on your, how do you call it, when you're afraid, scares, I don't know, can't remember, he plays on you. So that's why this guy says, you know what, let's pull out our embassy from there and our staff. And what do you think those guys will think? What is that? They don't think the Russians are going to send some ladies of the night and some free vodka or some bears, all right? No, they're going to send something else. Boom. Or not even. I was too slow. It would be like, okay? Anyway, so here it is, my friends. These guys, according to Medvedev, treat their Russian citizens as second-class people. And then he makes a connection between the SS and their ideology with second class and so on. Remember that guy, Adolf, he looked at the Slavs as a certain kind of category. The Jews, they looked in a certain way, and the Slavs a little bit higher, but still below. I'm not going to mention here. You can look and read about it. So even though it's about that guy, is not me, people are idiots. So I want to avoid idiots as much as possible if I can control it. That is, if you throw me in the midst of some idiots, I have no problem. But if they can control our communication, I will try to avoid that in the name of reaching a higher goal, which is, having these kind of things. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.